Okay, welcome back to the 3 session. For the past 2 sessions, we have introduced the STATA. Day 1, it was all about the STATA user interface as well as the data operators. And the Day 2 session, we have talked about the gateway to STATA, where the session was widely dominated by the use of STATA help. How you can read STATA syntax up to the other parts which we covered in last Saturday. So this week in particular, our focus is going to be on data import. And why do we need to start with this one? This is the first action which we are going to take when you are using STATA software. You want to use anything, to manipulate anything, to summarize anything. First of all, you need to start by calling that data into your STATA data memory. So also, I find that it is a nice approach if we will also take this as our first real session other than those introduction parts. How do we call different kinds of files into STATA? STATA has got a native data file, which is called the .dta. It is STATA with the extension of .dta. But not only that, because unlike in the software like Excel, where you can only use data which is in Excel format. If you have data in other formats other than Excel, there is no way you can say I'm using Excel software to manipulate or to produce reports from that kind of data. So since STATA is a statistical software, and nowadays most of the softwares are improved, they are not relying only on native data file, but they are programmed in such a way that you can also capture data file from other formats. STATA itself has got data which is called .dta, but after STATA 16 version, since STATA 16, also you can import data from SPSS, and these are the improvements which I was talking about. Because prior to STATA 16, the STATA 15 backwards, there is no way you could use SPSS data into STATA. But also you can import a SAS file for those with SAS data. Also you can import CSV data. Also you can import text data, .text, and also you can import Excel. These are most common files which most of us, we find them around us, and wherever we seek data from somewhere else, mind that 99.9% they will give you data in one among these formats. We have different formats due to different reasons. Number one, we have file formats based on the use of software. Since you have STATA software, STATA introduced the data format of .dta. Since you have SPSS, then SPSS introduced .sav. Since you have SAS, then SAS introduced SAS 7 DDAT. And since you have Excel, also Excel introduced their own data formats. So depending on which kind of software you're using, so expect it to have data from that particular format. But also, we have data formats based on the systems. Like all this which I've mentioned, if you want to upload the data to a particular system, like to upload student results to student information systems, You cannot upload them in STATA or SPSS or SAS or Excel format. They are not passed to work with systems. But rather, there are specific file formats like CSV or text data, which are compatible to systems. So when you want to upload those data to systems, you put them in CSV format or text format. And likewise, if you want to download the data from the systems, nowadays, of course, they have improved. You can have data in Excel format, but most of the time we expect you to have data either in CSV or text format. You can access them like that. Although we have also advanced the files, which we cannot catch them in its data. For those who attend in R sessions, they will find that when we go to data import by R, we'll have more files which are possible be passed by using R, but impossible here in this data. So this is quite an introduction. Now, before we start the process of importing data, there is this concept of working directory. So why working directories is necessary? I'll start by creating a new do file for today's session. And I'll show you why. Day 03, data import. I'll write a command here, which is a character command. Let me write this command of importing one of the data which we are going to use today. Import from practice data. Maybe I'll import this data here, Beth. Beth, by using the command use, comma, clear. This syntax will bring error. It will say the file Beth not found. Why? Because any file you put in your computer, there is a complete address to reach up to that particular file. Like here, in order to reach Beth, the command must come through drive E, then a folder named capacity building, then a formula named 35 with STATA training from basic to advanced, then a folder named beginner level, then a folder named practice data. And lastly, now you will reach here to Beth. So if you do it like this, always there is a default directory. Default or current directory. Current directory. If I write here, if I go back here to my main interface, it is written down here. So by default, when you write that command, what STATA will do will go to this path, to this address here. Try to look for this file. And since the file will not be there, it throw error, file so and so not found. This kind of error, you have two possibilities. Number one, the syntax or the file name is okay, but you're in a wrong directory. That's number one. But number two, you may be in a correct directory, but you have typos in your file name. I'll also show you this when we change it to correct path. So you can see it here. Also, you can see it by writing pwd, print working directory. Print working directory. So like this. Like this. So from here, if you write this command, dir print all files or folders in current directory. This one. This command here will do that. So you see, among the list of folders or files, if you find the extension, it means that is a file. If you find it plain here, it means that is a folder. Among all these files, you don't see this name here, Beth. It is not there. So you are in a wrong directory. So what is the solution? You have two choices. Number one is to specify the complete path, the complete path of this file. Like here, solution one, specify complete address of data file. Specify full address of data file. How? My data is here. Since this is my data, the address is above here. What you have here is your address. So I can right click and copy this address and put it here. So you see this, it means in order to reach this file, you need to start from drive E, then capacity building folder, then 35 STATA training from basic to advanced folder, then one beginner level folder, then a practice data folder up to here. Now, if you do this, no problem. The syntax will execute correctly. That is number one. But the problem with this, it means each time I want to fetch a new file here, I need to specify the complete address. And that is not a good practice because, number one, you may need to share this do file with your colleague. Once you share, remember this path is for your computer. So you're also required to change wherever there is a full address. And assume now you have 20 or 50 files loaded. So that is not a good practice. Solution two is to change directory. Solution number two, specifying make your data folder be a current working directory. And this is what we recommended. The recommended approach is to make your working directory, your folder with the data, be a working directory. So simply, what is a working directory? This is the complete address of for the location of your data files. As simple like that. Like in this case, since these are our data, so this complete address is the one which we call it path for attaining destined directory. Simple working directory. The term directory, just understand it as a folder. So the current working directory is the current folder. So how do we change the directory toward the folder with our data? Simply we need to specify the complete address of that particular folder. And here now, we need to change our directory. How do we change our directory? I will show you two approaches. Change directory by graphical user interface. If you don't want to write your command, still you can change your directory. Go to your main STATA interface, then go to File. Down here, there is this tab written Change Working Directory. So you should remember, because we are familiar with your computer, where is the location of your data files. So start from here. You navigate now. You remember your drive. Like in my data, I know they're in drive DE. Then from there, they're in capacity building. Then from there, they're in 35 was STATA training. Then from there, from 35 STATA training, the data files are within practice data. And this is the ultimate folder. That's why you don't see further option to go beyond that. And you'll find it here, the folder is selected. If you still need to create a new folder within it, you can put here, make a new folder within this one. But most of the time, it would prefer that you have your folder already in place. So like this, you press OK. And the beauty of this, wherever you use graphical user interface, always STATA will print your command for you. So here in history window, you will find that your directory is already created by using the command called cd. So simply, we are changing directory by specifying the complete path of where our data is. So if you run this, it means your directory is already changed. You can verify it here. Down here, you'll find that now the path of this, the default path of STATA now is the folder which contains our data. You can also verify this by putting dir to check if you will see the names of your data files. And they are here, including that birth. So this is approach number one by using GUI. What I did is just to go to history window and copy the command. So you can use that approach. And once you specify your directory, you can copy the command and put it to your do file. But the more easy way to do that is to type a command direct. Use cd command direct. We know that the command for changing directory is written as cd. So you write your cd, and then you put double quotes. Once you put your double quotes, the only task remaining ahead of you is to find out the path. What is the path of your current data? So you have two approaches of how you can obtain the path. First of all, you can open until when you reach there where you will see your data files. And the path is at the top of your machine. You can click that one, and then you can right-click this and copy that particular path. And you come here, you put it there. That is approach number one. But approach number two, as long as you have a single file in that particular folder, any file will do, not necessarily the one you want to import, even this one. As long as there is a file, you can always right-click that particular file. You go to Properties, and you will see the complete address of that file. So you can also copy it from here. So this is the second approach of how you can obtain address for your destined folder. So as you can see, all these three end up giving us the same answer. And what actually is this? You will realize that this, what we call working directory, is a full address before we put the name of our data file to import. So that is it. So instead of each time writing a file name, now I will use the same command, which throw error earlier, this one. If now I write this command, now this will work. This one now is okay. Why? Because what STATA did, by default, it goes into this practice data from drive E all the way up to practice data. And when it reaches there, if you write dir, you'll find that Beth is among the folders which are listed there. So it will import without error. So the change directory will take care of the issue of address instead of completely specifying it manually, just like what we did here. So this is the idea of changing working directory. So now, even if you share with your colleague, what he or she is supposed to do is only to change this directory to address his or her computer. And nowadays, there is even more standard way of doing so. Because what you do, you can write this command, if C username. Username. So first of all, you need to know what is the username of your computer. Like here, if I write display, what is the username of my computer? Username is Leguma. So what you do, you take this username. Or I can even say return list to make it more dynamic. No, it is not there. Then you put the equal sign, you put quotes, your username here. And then you put your directory. CD, this one. So what actually is the difference between code number 23 and code number 29? Code number 23, if I share this do file with you, and you import this to your machine, when you run this command, you will get error because in actual sense, this path is not, it will not be recognized with your computer. But in this case, since I have a conditional operator here, this one will be evaluated if and only if this condition is true. So if this condition is not true, what will happen for your machine? It will remain silent. It will not change the directory. It will remain silent. So what you do, you leave this here. When someone shared with you a do file, you copy it, and you ask you put this command to know the username of your computer. So once you know the username of your computer, you put it here. Computer username, your username. You put it here. And here you will have your path now. Put your path to reach that particular folder. So which means now you two guys, you can exchange these two files without the error of running code. So for my computer, it is going to use this one. For your computer, it will use this one. And even if you are 10 individuals, you can put this to recognize the path of each of your machine. So this is all about changing working directory. So before we start before we start with the import data, this was supposed to be cleared first. Unless there is a question, if someone has a question, you can raise it before I move to another concept. So if not, I'll move on. Now I'll go to start data import. Data import. What actually is data import and why is it necessary? As I began earlier, data import in STATA refer to the process of bringing data from external sources into STATA memory. Understanding them like this. We need to have data in STATA memory like this one, which you see here, for example. This is the data which is in STATA memory. This is the number one concept. Number two, we have data which is present in our local disk, like all these files. How could I make use of any of these files? So that process of transforming data from your local disk to STATA memory, it is called data import. It is called data import. That is number one. But sometimes, not necessarily data should come from your local disk. It may be available somewhere, maybe in Git, by using web approach. You fetch data directly from online website. So also that process is called data import because wherever the steps you are going through to make sure you acquire data into your STATA memory, that process is the data import process. That is simply about the import. Later on, when you are going to learn about the export, it will be the opposite. To move data from STATA memory to local disk. To move data from STATA memory to put it here, because once you capture your data into STATA memory and maybe you perform several manipulations, there is no way you can share that data while it is in a STATA memory form. First of all, you must take it out to make it available to your local disk, and then you can share it by either put it to drive like a flash or attach it to email for your own backup. But also, if you are working as a team with your colleagues, they need to have that version of data. So that is simple term about data imports. Now we're going to see these several. How can we import them? In particular, I'll focus in STATA, SPSS, CSV, text, Excel. Currently, I don't have such data, so I cannot demonstrate that one. About the STATA file. STATA is a native. It is a native file for STATA. So it has got different syntax to import. The rest of the data will be imported by starting with the keyword import and then modifier, import Excel, import delimited, import SPSS. But for STATA, it has different kind of command. All of them will contain the word use. And we have three keywords to deal with STATA data. We have SOS use for system use, we have web use, and we have use. Let us see the difference between all of this. Number one, I will update the notes before I should explain thoroughly about the difference between SOS use and web use and use, because here just go directed to use. These three, system use. System use is a command which will enable you to access the system data. And the system data simply this example data or toy data, which are pre-installed with STATA. When you install STATA, they are always there. Why do we have them? Because most of the time we want to practice our commands, and in order to practice, we must have data in place. So if you don't have data, your own data which is ready, you can make use of this toy data or example data. It is recommended that these are only for practice purpose. You cannot use this data for study. You use this to practice your commands only. So number one here, import STATA example data. Import STATA example data. This one, as I said, each time now I'm starting the new lesson, I will make use of the practice help, SOS use. But first of all, I will start by GUI. How can I access this data by using graphical user interface? You go to File as well, as usual. Down here, you'll find example datasets. So you click this. You'll find three kinds of tabs here, but your focus should be on example datasets installed with STATA. Example dataset installed with STATA. So you click this. You will see the list of example datasets. There are several. Once you see them, which one do you want to use? If I want to use the auto, then you click auto. And you'll find that now you have your auto data here, and the command is written here. You see here SOS use. Although there we clicked use, but the command printed out here is SOS use. Or if you say that I don't want this, I want maybe set a temperature, you click this one, use. If you come here, you'll find that your data is changed and you have printed another data from there. Or you say, I want to make use of life experience, for example. So the same. So each time you click, you'll get a new data set to practice. So like here, I have imported the auto, I have imported this city temperature, I've imported the life experience. That is data imports by using GUI. I will copy this command and put them to do file for reference. Put them there. So when you put them here, they become like command. So sometimes since we know the keyword, because the first thing in STATA, wherever I want to do, you need a command. The command will execute the action. So when you know the keyword here, you can use help SOS use here. Now you see SOS use, it is your command keyword, then file name, but there is code before and after, but they are enclosed with quotes. And there is this clear. So number one, what is the basic syntax? Remember, as I said, whatever is not enclosed with double quotes is our basic syntax. Like in this case, the basic syntax is SOES use file name only, because these are two quantities which are not enclosed with quotes. So this is number one. But also here, they are telling you that a list of example dataset installed with STATA, you can get that list by writing SOS use dir. So here, this is very important because we recommend not to type names. You can make error once you have a typo in file name. You will get error that file not found. So like in this case, if I copy this, remember here the basic syntax is SOS use dir. Ignore this all. So here you get the list. Get the list to your results window. What are these names? Remember here from help, these are the same names which are here: auto, auto 2, auto round, BP long, BP wide. So the same names are printed here. Since we're using command window now, you will come here and pick the name. Pick your name. So you write now here SOS use this name. This is the basic syntax. Why do I call basic syntax? Because this is what has been specified here. The keyword SOS use, and mind that there is no underline here. So this syntax must be written in full, and then file name. So what we have here is our syntax, basic syntax. So like that, we have called our new data. But why do we have these other options? When we reach to local files, we'll find that sometimes it is mandatory to use quotes, sometimes it is option. When it is option, if you have one word, the file name is just one word, or the file names are, there is no space between file names, then you can just use a plain name. But if in any case there is a space between your file name, from within your file name, it is mandatory for you to use quotes. I will demonstrate this when we reach there, so don't worry. As in this case, it is option. You can either use quotes or you can ignore. Like here, I can put quotes and pick another file. Maybe, let me say, surface DTA, for example. Surface DTA. So here, I put it as a plain code, but here I have introduced the quotes, so it will work. So it doesn't matter which style you have chosen. You can decide to use plain name or enclose them with the quotes. And that's why here quotes were enclosed with the square bracket. How about clear? Clear, for some of the scenario, it is optional, but some of the scenario happens, it will force you to use clear. Like in this case, let me modify this existing data. I can do any modification here. Among them is either to create a new variable or to remove existing variable, like that, and many other forms of data manipulation, which are yet to reach there. So let me take this date variable. I will write here a command drop. The purpose of this drop is to remove this variable from data. Remove date column from data set. So if that is the case, it is no longer there. When I want to import another data, for example, now, SYS use. So yes, use. Since I have changed the data set in memory, and I'm yet to save this one. Let me take any data. I can even put auto comma. See this? There is error here. It says no, data set in memory has changed since last saved. So you want to proceed with this action. First of all, you have to save the modified data. We are going to learn about how to save data later on. For the time being, that is not my issue. So here, if you want to ignore that, you need to apply the option clear. What will clear do? Instead of throw this error, you have said it yourself that you don't care about the changes. So STATA will clear the existing data and then will load the new one here. So clear will remove existing data before loading new data. Clear option will remove existing data in memory before loading new data. Before loading the new data. Before loading new data. So that is how you can use SYS use. So simply the command SYS use, we use it to load example data. We use this data a lot for teaching because most of the time maybe we don't have the data set ready for everyone. But this one are universal. Whoever installed this data in his machine, the data is there. So that is example data. Unless there is a question about that, but I'll move to another command. Import STATA web data. Web use. This one has got a command called web use. And what? This one require internet, active internet. Since we are picking data from online, then must have active internet. So number one, it is called web use, just like clear, just like SOS use. You can enclose data with the quotes or you can ignore. And here we have what? Report URL from which dataset will be obtained. URL from which dataset will be obtained. So let us see the default. URL from which dataset will be obtained. It is here. Web use query. Web use query. So if I put this currently by default, STATA will go here to pick our data. This is our URL. If we write a plain command, STATA will fetch data from this point here. Put it in my case. see if we can have them to take time. While you're waiting, among the data which you can import by using default web use is to put here web use, the command web use, maybe reshape 1. There is this data called reshape 1, comma, can decide to use plain or comma clear, depending with the status of unsaved data. So if I do that, now it will go to that repository and pick this data. And pick this data. Still rotating. We have several data which are there. Let me check if I can use the IR option, but they don't see it anywhere. So if there is a certain data somewhere which you need to pick, you need to specify that URL first. You put web use set, and you see this is enclosed with the quote. Why? Because if you just write web use set, it will set the URL back to default. And what is the default URL? It is this one. Because after changing that, you can always go back here by using web use URL set. Currently, I didn't pick a URL which I can use to fetch data. But if it happens you have one, one data which is available to a particular website, you can always browse that data. Let me see. Yes, here it is now printed. Data sets. You see data sets. We have so many data, Bayesian model, meta, user grade, time series. Just pick the first one, see if they are there. Data set for STATA reference. See this one, all these are forms of data. Let me see if we can pick this. Web use systolic. Web use systolic. It is there, as you see. Disease systolic. And you can list it down by picking any from here. There are so many web data from STATA repository which you can use, and that is a default. Maybe I can pick this and pick this also. Web use. Like that. The data is here. So you can practice a lot because the data are already made available. And if you have your own source, what you do, you can specify it to this URL. This particular URL, say website, put your URL here, then go back and use put your web use command. So this is web use. Unless there is a question. is there. Let me check if NBS data portal. www.nbs.go.tz. I check the data portal. Okay, don't have already made the example for URL here. If I have one, maybe you can share even in the upcoming sessions. So now I'll move to another kind of command, which is use. Import STATA data from your computer. Import STATA data. Import STATA data from your local disk. From your local disk. So this is what we do most of the time because we have our own versions of data. And now what happens when we do it like that? What we do from there, we have two approaches. Number one, by GUI, I have my own starter data from local disk, like here I have Beth, I have demo2, I have EIC_8. I can import one of those. Let me, for example, pick demo2. If I want to use a graphical user interface, what should I do? You have two cases. You can go to File, then use this folder icon, but you also have a shortcut here. The folder icon is already there, even without accessing File. So once you pick that one, that folder icon will prompt you to go to folder, and you can navigate to where you have put your data. Like in this case, once you reach there, STATA will filter out and show you only STATA files, even though the folder contain different kind of files. So here maybe I pick demo2, and instantly it will open the data, and it will print the command for you. So mind that when you use the graphical user interface, the printed command will specify the complete path. Always, it will be like that. But by using command, by command approach, it means since you have specified your working directory, simply you can come here and say use. First of all, start with dir. Dir will print the file names, all file names from your working directory. So I want to import, for example, this EAC. So you pick your file name there. And then you put comma. Yeah, by command approach. Before that, let me start with the help. The syntax is use. Remember that after using GUI, you'll see the syntax there. Use, so you see here. Say use file name, always clear is the option, and no label is another option. Or you can load just some of the data set. I always discourage this idea because later on, you'll see how you can retain your data values. So use file name is your basic command. Here, the basic command is to use this. It is your basic command. You have successfully imported that data. And also, you see that even though here they didn't enclose this file name or put option for quotes, but that is the standard, it can be applied anywhere. You can also use the quotes, no problem. No problem if you put the quotes. And the syntax also will show you where to get the drop-down menu. Go to File, then Open, like that. So you can put quote, you can ignore quotes, but you can also attach your command with the option of clear, with the clear option. Yeah, clear option. So as long as the file name do not contain space, so you can specify plain name, it's okay. You can enclose with the quotes, it's okay. But the moment the file name has space, it will become mandatory to enclose with the quotes. Because other than that, software will understand that those are several names and not just one file name. So this is importing STATA file by both approaches, unless you have question. But this is all about importing STATA data file. If we're okay there now, I can move to other file types. Now it will become easier. Only STATA files has good use in the year keyword. The rest now will start with import. These are the syntaxes. Now importing SPSS data file. Yes, import SPSS data file. How do I do that? First of all, is for you to know the command. So if you know the command, you can go directly to help and use that particular command to specify the full syntax. But as usual, since this is important exercise, I will start by graphical user interface. How can I import SPSS by graphical user interface? You go to File. In exception of STATA files, the rest you will find them in import. So you'll come here to import. And now look to the appropriate tab. Since what I want to import is SPSS, I should select the SPSS data, this one. And now here you find this browser tab. Now fetch the path of your data. It may be anywhere, but since I was there previously, so directly to pick the only SPSS file available in my selected toolbox folder. So I pick this one and I say open. Here I have several options, but I'll urge you to ignore for now. You just say okay. You want to continue and replace data in memory, you say yes, because it will impose the command clear at the end. So as usual, as I said earlier, if you specify or you want to import data by GUI, STATA will print the complete path for you. So even if you don't have a working directory, it is not a problem. You didn't set a working directory, but by command, here now we know for sure that our command is to import SPSS. Now here we have two issues. As usual, I start with help. If I just say help, import, here we have so many things because we have different kinds of import to do in in STATA. We have import Excel, import delimited, import SPSS, and many other stuff. So be specific. Which kind of import do you want in terms of help? So it is import SPSS. So like this, it will go directly to import SPSS documentation. Now here it says import SPSS using file name, and you see here using is enclosed within quotes. So if you are importing the entire file, this using is option, you can ignore, like that. Or if you are importing a compressed file, because you have SAV and ZSAV, the same command will do. The only difference will be this option now will become mandatory. You specify file name.sav, but here you will put a comma SAV if you have such kind of file. But if you want to import only parts of the columns or variables, you need to name them here. Import SPSS so and so. By that scenario, using will become mandatory. But I recommend you to stick with importing the entire file. It is the simplest approach. The other one, you'll try them once you get used to import issues. So here, simply, I will say, before that, what about these options? You can go down here to look for the part of options. You see here, among the options you have is clear to replace data in memory. Among the options you have is to case, read variable names as lowercase or uppercase, or encoding. So just use it clear because the rest of the stuff will be taken care later on when we start data manipulation. So only clear. So here I will say import SPSS, and then I put my file name. Since it is one word, I have to specify extension. Only STATA file you can leave it plain, because like that it will recognize. It will recognize the default. Oh, now they have improved. You can even ignore. You can even ignore because you have already specified the SPSS here. But also you may be required to specify extension, SAV. What will happen? No problem. But also you can enclose the name with the quotes. All these are options which you can use to import data. So even though originally this data were captured by using SPSS, you can work with it in your STATA memory by importing it using SPSS helper. That is SPSS. Another file is to import CSV. Importing CSV data file. Importing CSV data file. CSV data file. As usual, starting by GUI. By GUI. If I have a CSV data, how can you do that? By graphical user interface, you go to file, you go to import, select delimited. You see here .csv, delimited. Delimited, as usual, find this icon. You pick the browser here. You have several options. I will choose the health data too. I will say later why this also appeared here. So after this, you say, okay, do you want to replace? Say yes. So I come down here, I copy this command, I put it there. Yes. So the command for importing CSV is import delimited. So how can I use it? By command window? Simply, first of all, as usual, say help the command to see the syntax documentation. For learning, once you are using, you don't need this. So as usual, you can see here using file name, you can ignore import delimited options. There are so many options here. Yeah? So many options, which you are going to find them later. As for the time being, I will go directly to simple case of importation. So just say import delimited, and I put my file name, this one. If I ignore this, will it work? Let me check. Yeah, it's okay, as long as you have specified the helper. But as usual, you can ignore this because clear is option. And then here you can introduce clear, then .csv. No worry. But also, you can specify this by putting quotes, no problem. These other options now to depend on your scenario. If you have delimiters other than comma, then you need to specify them here. Or if you have to treat a certain row as variable names, then we'll specify them here. Or if you don't want names, like in this case here, you see the names are there. But what if I want to ignore names? If I want to ignore names, ignore names, then I'll have to use this option here, var names. Remember the use of pipe. You can either specify a number in order to pick names from that particular number, or you can specify no names, but not both. And here var n, it means you can shorten this command. Like this. So you can come here and add this option, no names. No names. So now you see your data do not have names. And that column which contain names now become part of data. That row, sorry. Or you can specify that the first row is variable names, which most of the time is the default. The first is variable names. You may also say maybe my variable names are in second row, but I'm not sure if the values are compatible. This is going to be okay. Yeah, so it has used those. If the name is compatible, it will be used like that. So here, ignore names. Here I'll say use first row for names. Here you can say use second row. Use second row for names. And you can specify any row if it happens that that kind of row contain variable names. So this is CSV. Close to this, because this is system file, close to this is a text data file. All these are compatible with most of the systems. Text data files. So once more, text data file has got .txt extension. This is also a delimited file. So if you want to import this by GUI, the same procedure, the same command here. It must be in a main interface. So you go to import text data delimited. So this time I'm looking for text file, this one, instead of CSV. So the same thing, just say yes. So I'll copy my command here, put it there. So you find the only difference is to have .txt as the extension, but the rest are exactly the same. So wherever we have done there, so if I say here by command, it means still I will use the command import delimited, and then I will put the same file name, comma clear, same file name, comma clear, says CSV not found. Now you see here, default is CSV. Default, it will attach .csv extension to this particular file. So if you have a delimited file other than CSV, you have to declare the extension. You must do that. Because the default, it is CSV. So like this one, it's okay. And you may decide to ignore this first. So this one will do, because clear is the option. Memory data will be lost. So like that, we attach clear. But also, you may also need to enclose this with the quotes. But since there is no space of file name, you can leave it plain, or you can enclose it with the quotes. This is delimited. The last one now is the Excel. Importing Excel data file. Importing Excel data file. Importing Excel data file. How do I do that? To import Excel data file, as usual, I'll start with the command menu. But I have one Excel, unlike other data. Excel is a workbook. And this workbook, simply, one workbook contains several data. One workbook contains several data. And here, maybe let me create a copy of this data. Move it to end. Create a copy. I will rename it as data B, data 5. I'll name this data 5B. And I want to move this to somewhere there. Example, explain that one also. So it may happen. So here, to import Excel file, I will start here by graphical user interface. So as usual, you go to your file, then import, then Excel spreadsheet. You browse, you locate your Excels. You have this combined data, I have these duplicates. I will use both. So now, since Excel has got several sheets. Here I'll just say okay. I'll just say okay. Default, you're right, default is first sheet. Default is first sheet. That is the default. That's why you see here sheet 1. What if I wanted to open another open to another sheet, open other sheets, and other sheet by GUI. If you want to do that, then you need to come here, import Excel sheet. You select the same thing. And then now here in worksheet, I pick that, so it will list the number of sheets here. So like if I need data 3, then I pick data 3. But there is one problem which you're going to see. This as it is. The problem here now, if I try to view this data, you find all of them are string, are red. Why? The column names are picked from Excel. So column 1 is named A, B, C, and the first row, which was intended to be column names, now become part of the data. And this is the reason the rest of the data become red, because this is a text and each text is a string data. So what actually is the solution if you are importing by using GUI? You'll say make first row a column names. Use first row for column names. So here, when you come here to GUI, you say import Excel worksheet. You capture your data like this. You remember to check this box. Select data 3. You remember to check this box. See the preview here. The preview is the column names are A, B, C, which means sheet names. So the moment you check import first row as variable names here, those names will move to the top and they will appear as variable names. So you say this yes. And this time around, if you try to browse, you see now they are top there and all of your data values are black. But notice something here after printing. And we have added the option called first row, which was not there. So this option, it is very important because it will make sure that your first values, your first row is used for variable names. So this is by GUI. By command now. By command. First of all, I'll put dir to list all to see my Excel file names. Here now, then I'll say help, import Excel, help, import Excel, help, import Excel. So I have my help here. Yeah. So the basic command is what? The basic command is to write import Excel. You can shorten the Excel keyword and then file name. So I have these three: import Excel file name. So let us see. Okay. You can say here import Excel. What is my file name? I will go with the duplicates first. Duplicates. If I do this, it says no data in memory will lost. So it is mandatory for you to add the option clear. Like that. So it's okay now. It's okay. You have imported the data, but you are suffering with that problem. So what is the solution? The solution here is to make the first row variable names. Declare first row as variable names. How can I do that? To do that, before that, here you have two choices. You can even enclose this with the quotes, or you can ignore if it is just one word. So this, most of the time I prefer the one with the quotes. Now this one will prompt you to go to import Excel options. In importing Excel options, you see this first row. What are the explanation? Treat first row of Excel data as variable names. But you also can write the complete word first row, or simply you can just write first, the shorter name version. It means it will pick the first row for variable names. So I'll add it there, like that. So now we are okay, we are good. Default is to pick the first sheet. Import other sheet data. So first of all, I have to know the sheet name of this Excel. So you can open this. Can open this. I know the first one is written sheet 1. The second one is just written sheet 2. So here, I'll copy the same thing, import first, but now go to option again. You see here, there is an option called sheet name. Sheet name. So you pick this sheet, and here you specify that particular sheet name. So you can just copy this, and you can also underline SH for sheet name, as a simple like that. So our sheet name is called sheet 2. You must write the name accordingly. If I use a small h here, while in sheet name here is capital, expect error. If I run this, it is going to give me error. The sheet 2 not found. So you must write the correct name for sheet. So if I execute this now, I'm okay. And now you see your data is the one which comes from the second sheet. Yeah. So another thing, just to demonstrate, you remember we have another Excel file. Since you have another Excel file, file name with space. And what is that? Check this out. This file name written combined data, this one, has got a space. Between the word combine and the data, there is a space. So can I run this one like this? No, you will always get error if that is the case. It says using required because it assumes that this is the name of variable and this is the data. So always, if your file contains space, remember to enclose the whole thing with the quotes. Now it will become mandatory. Quotes becomes mandatory. Quotes becomes mandatory. So like that. So you see it, now it's okay. But you need to put your modifications as usual. So I will say first to make sure that the first row is captured for variable names. But there is this case here, for example. You see this sheet 5B. What if I try to import sheet 5B? Case of data starting not from top left. Our data, most of the time, it starts from here to your top left, the first cell, A1. But now you may have a scenario, your data may start from random, anywhere. This happens because sometimes in Excel we put headings here, or we insert a command maybe to the rows to provide some descriptions, and you find that the actual data is somewhere in between. What should you do if that is the scenario? So number one, I should import this. This command by default will import the first data. So now I know that my data is this one, data 5B. So first of all, you should add another option here to say that the data to be imported is named data 5B. Data 5B here. So 5B not found. Oh, I modified this. I'm yet to save. You need to save this so it can catch up with this data. So like this, I think the version I have opened here is not the one I have in my drive. Save as practice data. I have to put this. Yeah. So if I execute this, now it's okay. So they have updated this by automatically picking this one. Is it 5B? Let me check. Yes. So as long as it is clear here, there is no problem. But what if I have something here, maybe title, certain title, so and so here, down here, and I may have some other issues here, wherever. If that is the case, if I import, do not expect that you get something clean as that one. So it will take all these stuffs, which we don't need. So if that is the scenario, now it becomes mandatory for you to specify range. You see this one, cell range. Cell range start and end. So cell range start and end, you tell STATA that my actual data start from here, which is C4. So I pick this C4, or you can just type, C4, and then what? Full colon, you see here, start, end, because there are options, start, end. So it ends with what? This data will go all the way up to here. F14 for colon F14. F14. So specify your cell range. Now you see you are good. So even if your data is preceded with something here, but specifically your data started from a certain range, then you specify your top left and your bottom right cell. So like that, this is how you can import STATA files. You can import Excel files into STATA. Unless there is a question, if no, I have one more thing to finalize the concept of data. It is not about import, but it's something new which was introduced around 3 to 4 years back when STATA version 16 was released. Do you have questions? Yeah, someone raised a hand. Let me check. Zaur, are you the one?
No.
Oh, okay. See, someone raised the hand.
She's Sylvia.
Sylvia. Okay, Sylvia. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question.
Yes.
When we are importing SPSS and the rest files that were not from STATA using command,
yes,
we didn't specify the path. So I think, I'm not sure, we didn't specify the path because our files were in the same path as the one which we used using GUI. So what if I am going to import by command? Should I need to specify the path, or should I will just write, if I'm just beginning to import a file, maybe let's say a SPSS file, by using command, will I not be required to specify the path where I'll be importing that data?
Thank you. As I said earlier, the issue of path, wherever the nature of the file will be imported, ET, SPSS, data, Excel, the issue of the path will be taken care by changing directory. So as long as we have started with the changing directory, then by default, all commands, be it an exception of SOS used in web use, but if the command use or the command import SPSS and any command which will go to fetch data from local computer drive, first of all, we'll go to current directory, this one, to make sure that the file is there. If the file is there, it will proceed with the process of importation. If the file is not there, it will throw error. So that's why when I put command, I don't specify the whole path because we have already specified our working directory. But if you don't specify your working directory, you have two choices. One, to specify the complete path in order to fetch that file, even in command, like the process I did even before we started the issue of command here. I specified the complete path. And this is the same thing when you use GUI will produce, it will specify the complete path. But as I said earlier, this is not a nice approach because most of the time we tend to share this file with your colleagues. So they will be forced to change all these paths. So you need to ignore this and you will use only command window. So for learning purpose, I have to teach you both. Because once you fail to load them by using command window, at least you have alternative. You can always go to graphical user interface and load your file. But I will urge you to practice until when you are capable in importing those data by using just a command with file name. So remember to start with the changing directory. After that, just use the command and the file name. I hope I've responded to your query.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Now let me talk about the final issue, which is STATA data frame. STATA data frame. This is very new. Most of us maybe have never used this. And actually, what is that? What is STATA data frame? We have this problem here. STATA introduced the concept data frame from STATA version 16. So if we're using an old version 15 backwards, you will not be able to use this STATA data frame. For around 30 years since when STATA was invented, STATA had a strict rule which is to have only one data set in memory at a time. Like here, if I want to use another data, I have to remove this one from memory and call another data in order to proceed. Like in this case, I can say here use, maybe I want to summarize or to describe the data. I say use beth.dta clear, this one. And then maybe I say here describe, see the content of this data, like that. If I need another data for STATA version 15 backward, then I will be forced to remove this one first. So I'll write another command. So use, for example, auto2, clear, and then describe. So what this will do, will remove the existing data and put the new one. So if I want to use variable from Beth, I will be forced to load this data again. For this one, import SPSS. What was that? Demo 1.sav clear. Describe that data, for example. So I have 3 cases like this. I have all those cases. So data frame will solve this. Why? Because you can have multiple data sets in memory, all of them, without even needing to remove one in order to use the other one, since it's STATA version 16. So data frame was introduced to change. If you want to open a new data, you had to clear out the old one first. So data frame was introduced to change this traditional approach to allow multiple data to exist simultaneously in memory. So a frame is an independent space in STATA memory that holds a data set with STATA 16 plus, which means 16, 17, 19, 18, and the upcoming ones, which you are not yet to have them. You can have multiple frames open simultaneously, link them together, and switch between them instantly as you wish. So even STATA session starts with default. Every STATA session starts with default frame called default. So you can create new frames, give them custom names, and access all of them simultaneously. So STATA introduced the frame to avoid repeatedly saving and loading data sets. This including the use of preserve and restore commands. You will no longer need them as long as you are capable in using STATA frames. So like here, these are basics which you can have in STATA frames. You can list, you may need to know the list of your frames, how you create a new frame, how you can change, you can switch it from one frame to another, how you can see the current frame, how can you load or use the command from another frame without switching, how can you remove that frame from memory, one in particular, for example, how can you remove all frames which have been created, how can you link 2 frames which if are related to one another. And this is the concept which will be introduced, will be dive deeper. We'll dive deeper in this concept when we reach to data merging, data combining techniques. As for the time being, how do we create a new frame? To create a new frame, we just use a command frame, frame create, then frame name. Frame create, these are keywords, then frame name. And after that, after creating that particular frame, we come to the keyword frame. Then we mention the frame which we have created. We use full colon, and then we load our data. So this will hold the data for us, like that. So in this case, I will practice this by loading 3 different frames. Number one, I will leave this one to default. Let me say I have captured this data. Frame creation. Frames creation. So assuming you have active data, this is what we call default frame. Default frame. What we are using to have? Default frame. And this one from describe here, from properties, you will find here. In data, the frame is default. So what you load, if you load your data set currently, it will be captured in what we call default frame. Now let us create the other 2 frames as we wish. So number one is frame create. I'll put a name here. Since I want to load the auto data, I will call it auto. You can name it wherever. Frame create. Put the name auto because the syntax is frame create, then frame name. After that, we load our data. Frame, then the name of the frame. Now colon, now we load the data. So yes, use auto2 clear example. That is my first frame. The second frame, I want to load that SPSS data, for example. Then I'll say here frame create I can call it my demo, for example. And then let us put data here. Frame. Our frame is what? My demo. For column, now I load the data. So I'll put the command of SPSS. This one. The last frame, because I said you'll have 3, is frame create the Excel data, which I'll call it data 5. Data 5, for example. And then it will hold this data frame of what? Of data 5. And what should I capture from there? I will use this command here. Import Excel first. Import Excel. Import Excel. This one will be data 5. So all these, I think I need to put it the last one. Frame create. I need to capture my base data. Then frame base. Which is use Beth, clear. So here, if I run this, I have created 4 different frames. So all commands run seamlessly. This is part of frame creation. So you need to follow those rules. That's why I say use local file names, import SPSS, local file names, so it will depend with your local file names. Use any technique of data import which you have done so far. So that is number 1. Now the issue is, if I browse my data, can I see any changes? No, because we are still in default frame. The default frame is the data which I have loaded originally, this one. Oh, sorry. This one contained Beth. I think I needed to change this. So this one, I can change this to EAC because Beth is already there. Let me load EAC. dir EAC data. And I will drop, I'll remove this one. Drop, drop. Come back to this later. EAC. Because this one is still there. Now this is part of frame creation. What next now? Let us see. In order to execute a STATA command for a particular frame, you need to switch from one frame to another. But before you switch, we need to know all of our frames. So here first, a list of frames in memory. List of frames in memory. List of frames in memory. Oh, sorry. So frame in memories. Can always say here. Sorry, I have to wait. So I'll say here, frame dir. So like that, you will see all frames. There is auto, there is data 5, there is EAC, there is default, there is my demo. All these are frames. As I said, always there is a default frame wherever you create, which will hold the data which we load as by using our direct import command. And what you see with start means the data is not yet to be saved in local disk. It is just present in memory. That is number 1. 2, print the current name of working frame. What we see here. Current name of the working frame, it is written default. So if I can print it from here, we know PWD will print current directory, but PWF will print current frame. What is current frame? Current frame is the one we have in memory right now, default. So any command which I write here, like if I say here describe command, it will describe data in current memory, this one. Now what? The process, if I want to use another frame, I need to switch to another frame. How can you switch? You just use the command frame change, and then you put that frame name. Put that frame name. Switch to another frame. Switch to another frame. So here you will have a frame dir for names. 20 names here. And now I want my default to be EAC, for example. So I say here, frame switch. You always start with this frame. So frame switch EAC. Oh, sorry, frame change. Frame switch. Frame change dir. So like that. Now you see even in your browser, the data you have is dir. But you see here in property window, the property window, now the current frame is EAC, and the data is EAC data. And if I write any command here now default, if I write describe, it will describe the EAC data. It will describe the EAC data because it is the one which is currently in memories. The other one is not deleted, it is still there. Or if I want to go to frame, another frame is called, let me go to frame dir. Another frame is called the data 5, for example. You can pick this. So the moment I pick this one, it becomes my frame. And wherever I see there now, it is due to active frame. And you see it even in a property window. What is the name of the frame is data 5. Like that, you can switch between frame and make use of those commands. After that, you can use the PWF to check if you have successfully switched the command. PWF, print current frame. PWF, it will tell you now the current frame is data 5, is the one which will take the default of our commands. So that is number 1. But 2, can we access frame without switching? Yes, it is possible. If you write command like describe and summarize, they will go to the default. They will go to the current access without switching. Like here, let me go back to the default frame. Frame dir. So I'll return first to that old default frame, which hold the birth data, this one. So I'll return it to default frame. Let me go back there. So right now, we went back to our original default frame. Before that one, what now? So after this, no, this is not a default I was talking. I think I rerun my do file. I wanted my default to be this. So wherever you run here will be your default. So this time around, this is what I have as a default. Yeah. So after this, if I write here, describe, that is describe for default. For default, for current frame in memory, for current frame, which actually is default. But what if I need to describe, what if I needed to describe data of other frames without switching? Here, frame dir, now I say frame out, for example, then you put describe. So you will always start with a frame. You will always start with a frame, and then you put describe. So here I'll put a frame auto. Let me say describe short. Is it short or simple? I don't want to print everything. Yes, describe short. And I can also use another frame, which is, let me check it here. I have data 5, I have EAC frames. So I can put EAC, then describe short. I can also put data 5. All of them together, I can access those commands with the ease. So I can describe all of them wherever they are. So these frames allows you to run command without removing data in memory. Like I can practice a regression command from here. I can run, if I write regress for data in memory, for default data in memory, it is this one. So I can regress maybe maternal age and birth weight, maternal age and birth weight. This is what you have as a default frame. But I can run other regressions without switching to those frames. Like here, if I remove this, I remove this, I remove this. So if I know the names from auto, for example, I can recall the auto frame. We can recall the names from here. From auto, can recall names which are maybe price and length. So I can regress price and length. From EAC, I can regress. From EAC, I can regress. I'll just put it GDP1 and maybe R1. GDP1 and R exchange rate R_1. I'll remove this. These two are enough. So this action was impossible before the introduction of frame, because now I can run all this regression because I have all data in memory. Price unrecognized. Oh, the command is missing. Regress. Regress. So you can do this with ease. So you can do your regression with multiple data sets. Like you see here, I have run from auto, the other one from regressive, the other one from default, even without removing the data. So this is what we can do with the frames. The last thing is to remove frame now from memory. If it happens that I want to create the same frame, drop frame, remove frame from memory. Assume something like this. I want to create frame twice, frame create. Just like in variable names, if you write frame create second time, like this, it will throw error. It will say frame data 5 already defined. So what you do, you can remove it first by saying frame drop data 5. So you drop that first. So if I now put a frame dir, data 5 will no longer be part of the frames. It's not there. And you can list your number of frames to be dropped if you want, but you can also drop all frames together by using the command frame reset. Clear all frames from memory. You can clear all frames from memory. Clear frames from memory, say frame reset. Frame reset, then frame dir. It will remove all frames. Reset. The command is reset. I have a typo, reset. No R. Frame reset. So you see now, all frames are no longer there. We have default, and even the default, the data is cleared. It is not there. This is how we can manipulate frame. The last thing is how you can link between two related frames with ease. But this idea now is related with data combine. So when we reach the data merging technique, we will see how we can link frames together with ease, and will no longer need the command like merge because frame now makes our data a little bit easier. Unless you have question, but this is it for today. Karibuni. I know the frame issue is new. Hello. I see one hand. Let me back. Is this the same hand? Whose hand is this? Or it is just a clapping? Or if you don't have more questions, I have already spent 12 more minutes. Let us end here, and we will meet. Our next session will be about, I plan to start data description, and then data export will become the last session of beginner. It is the opposite of import, but it will come after beginners part, as a closure of beginners level. But we'll think about it. If I find it is quite useful to introduce it earlier, I will do. And I think, let me do it next week. It's very, very important. If you don't have more,